What's that? Oh no, no big deal. Just another series win. This one over the reigning World Series champions. Welcome back to Cardinal Territory. Katie Woo, Bernie Miklasz here with you. The St. Louis Cardinals played another thrilling series here at Busch Stadium. They took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, won 5-0, shut them out on Friday. The walk-off win 2-1 on Saturday, and lost 7-3 today. But a lot to like about Michael McGreevy's spot start, which we'll get into. All around, though, pretty good weekend for the St. Louis Cardinals. They seem to be back on track. Bernie, your opinions?
Well, I know we'll talk about McGreevy. I'm totally cool with the way he pitched today. He showed some real quality. And as I told you before we started recording, I mean, did we really think that in 3 days the Los Angeles Dodgers wouldn't score some runs?
Right.
I mean, it's inevitable. They did an incredible job, really, holding the Dodgers down. Guys like Otani and Freeman, especially. So, but I like the way McGreevy looked today. I like the way he battled back. The other thing is, and we were talking about this. So the Cardinals, win a series from the Dodgers, and is it time? And I'm nationally is one thing, but I'm even talking about locally. Isn't it time that we sort of view the Cardinals differently? Whenever they beat a really good team, like they win in Philadelphia or, something like that, they beat the Mets here, whatever it may be. Now the Dodgers, Arizona before that, there's always kind of like, collectively we're like surprised. We're a little surprised. Well, why should we be surprised? The Cardinals have been, once they got their bullpen straight, the Cardinals have been winning series against really good teams, for more than, say, April, May, almost 2 months. So this is who they are. But I think in St. Louis, and this applies to everybody. I'm not dogging fans. There's almost this tendency to just kind of like, okay, they didn't have a good series against Kansas City, at least one, win. It's like everybody's like, is the other shoe about to drop type thing. I think it's kind of funny. There's anxiety over the Cardinals when they lose a series, but we sort of we almost minimize the fact that they've had so much success against really good teams.
Yeah, and I think you're reading my mind, shocker, because I struggle with this a little bit. The Cardinals had that not good series against Texas. Right. And I got a lot of, here they go, regressing to their mean, the real Cardinals are here. And I thought, well, they just won 8 of their last 10 series, and they tied one of those. So really 9 out of 10 successful series. And they had one bad one. That's going to happen over the course of a 162-game season. I think we're being a little dramatic. And the Royal Series didn't go much better. But look, there's a doubleheader in there. It is really hard to win both games of a doubleheader. I know the Cardinals have done that a couple times, but that does not take away from how difficult that task is. And came in and, it was like the sky was falling. The pitching, here comes the regression. Matthew Liberatore, he is who he is. That was his first bad start, like really bad start where the metrics weren't there and the mechanics weren't there all season. And I get we've been conditioned to expect the worst with this organization. So maybe that's why we're a little hesitant to accept that good things are happening here. But right. My argument there, especially seeing how this team played against the Dodgers, is I actually think the average is a series like this, and the anomalies are series like the Rangers series, right. And to an extent the Royal series. I don't think it was that bad of a series. And maybe the St. Louis Cardinals are a good team this year. Are we ready to say that?
You and I did this a couple 3 weeks back, maybe, and I think we agreed at that time. We were, I think they're good. But I'm even more convinced that they're good. You know why? Because you find out about a team when they hit their first little rut, like the Cardinals have been just rolling over everybody. And they lost, what was it? They lost 3 out of 5 series, 2 in a row. And, they were like 500 for about 2 weeks. And so you're like, okay, well, they've come back to earth. Now what?
Exactly.
Well, they beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3, and their pitching for 2 days held them to 1 run in 18 innings, stuff. So I think we need to have a little more confidence in them. And but the other thing, and I'm not going to get into a lot of numbers in terms of, but I was checking, you go through all the teams in the National League that are considered better than the Cardinals. Okay. They've all had patches where they're terrible. They've all, this isn't a St. Louis thing where the team plays well and then it maybe stinks up. It stinks a couple series. Everybody does that. Everybody. So
Literally, the Phillies got swept by the Pirates this weekend. Are we ready to say the Phillies are not a good baseball team?
yeah, I didn't even realize that. And then the other thing, and I was telling you about this morning, just to update it. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 at home. Because number one, first of all, the Cardinals are very good at home. The Dodgers are about a 500 team on the road. But the other thing here's stuff I don't think most Cardinals fans realize. And by the way, I didn't realize it either until I looked it up. The Cardinals actually have a better record than the Dodgers since April 11th. That's early in the season. Remember when the Cardinals got home from they had that terrible trip to Boston, then Pittsburgh?
Okay. Oh, I recall.
Since that road trip, the Cardinals have a better record. They're 32-23, and the Dodgers over that time. Well, I didn't look the Dodgers record up, but I know. Put it to you this way. See, I'm screwing up my own note.
I got you. Don't worry.
Since April 11th, the Cardinals have the third best winning percentage in the National League behind Chicago and the Mets. Now, if you want to go to April 30th, if you want to go for the start of May, you want to go since May 4th, the Cardinals have the best record either in the National League or the majors. And the thing that's really kind of funny to me since May the 4th, when the Cardinals got hot, going into today, they were 7.5 games ahead of the Dodgers since May the 4th. They have a better record than the Dodgers since April 11th. So I got to admit, though, I'm not being a hypocrite. I mean,
I'm the same way. I was the same way. I get it.
I thought maybe maybe they'll lose 2 out of 3, the Cardinals. And so I was a little skeptical, even though the Dodgers are torn up, just chewed up by pitching injuries. But no, I think maybe we need to give the fellows a little more confidence, show a little more confidence in them. I tend to have a little bit of an overreaction when they play an ugly series. I don't like it. It's also a good sign because it means that I expect more from them, and we should, because they're good.
They are. I think they've earned this kind of. Again, I know when you've had trust issues with this organization, like many of you feel that you have, I certainly understand. You have this. You've been guarded. I get it. Let's unpack that. But they've done a really nice job in coming out here, and after the Rangers series sucked and they come out against Kansas City and doesn't go their way, the weather does play into that. Then you're all of a sudden looking at the Los Angeles Dodgers and you're like, oh, great. But good teams respond to that. And something that Ollie Marmol said post-game today stuck with me. He said, look, we dropped the game today, didn't sweep them, but they felt us every single inning of all 3 of these games. They felt us pressing. They felt our at-bats. They felt our defense. They could not let up. And that was so true because while the Cardinals didn't cash in on an abundance of scoring opportunities in Sunday's game, they were there. And the Dodgers had to keep tacking on to ensure that they felt comfortable with that lead. That's a sign of a good team, that they came out here and they said, yeah, we had not a great week of baseball. We're facing one of the best teams in baseball at home. And this can go one of 2 ways. We can roll over or we can fight. They fought. They took 2 out of 3. And even their loss today, I didn't really have a lot of issue with. And we'll get into McGrevy later in the show.
Sure.
But look, how many good teams do the Cardinals have to beat? I mean, let's look at the records between the two right now, Bernie. The Dodgers are 39-27. The Cardinals are 36-29. That's not that far apart from each other. No. So ironically, the last, I think, truly good team the Cardinals have to face in the National League is the Chicago Cubs, and they'll see them for the first time at the end of June. But I mean, am I out here saying that the Cardinals are like the favorite to win the World Series? No, of course not. But when I'm looking at the National League, do I throw the Cardinals now in the competitive team bucket? I do. I very much do.
One more point to add, and this is something I know a lot of Cardinals fans know, and even though the Cardinals lost today, but coming into today, they had the third best record in the majors against teams with a winning record. Yep. They were behind the Mets and the Yankees. The Cardinals, the poor little Cardinals had a better record against winning teams than the mighty Dodgers with their, if you add in the penalties and all this stuff with the luxury tax. The Dodgers are going to end up spending $560 million on players this year. So the poor little weak Cardinals, the little engine that could, they're a good team. So let's show them some respect.
We're declaring this at 5:52 p.m. Central Time, Sunday, June 8th. The St. Louis Cardinals are a good baseball team.
They got another test though. Toronto's been red hot.
They're on a heater.
So this will be another test for our poor little Cardinals.
I think heading into play today, the Blue Jays had won 11 of their last 12. They're playing some really good baseball. So we'll see. Never-ending test over the course of 6 months. What a season. All right, Cardinal Territory listeners, fans, whatever you call yourselves. Bear with me. We got a segment here from Arena Club. You know how I am with the technical duties, but I feel good about myself.
You'll do it.
Good about myself. Let's hear about we'll call it a player of the series. He did not play, but it's important to have an injury update here on Jordan Walker. So we'll do that, presented by Arena Club. All right, no pressure or anything. So Jordan Walker, we have an update with him. He went on the injured list out in Texas, and the Cardinals were hoping to activate him before today, before the game against the Dodgers. Now that did not happen, and the reason for that is because he had a minor setback, had a little bit of some soreness in that wrist, so he got an injection earlier in the week, some anti-inflammatory injection. So he was not able to take swings for the last couple of days. He did take swings today, and according to Ollie Marble, everything looked good. There we go. Nice Jordan Walker card here from Arena Club.
Nice.
So took swings, and it sounds like, well, the Cardinals were hoping that he would not have to go on a rehab assignment. He might have to take a couple of days, but they still don't think it's that serious with Jordan Walker. He could be back as early as the end of next week. So yeah, a little bit longer than his originally planned injured list stint. But all things considered, he's responded really well to that shot and should be good to go. Hopefully later in the week, we'll have a better idea on Tuesday. If he does need a rehab assignment, obviously there are no minor league games on Mondays. So the earliest he'd be able to go out would be Tuesday. So that's where they are with Jordan Walker. In the meantime, we've seen a lot of Ryan Vilade, honestly, candidly, a little bit more than I thought we would.
Right.
I thought we'd see more Nolan Gorman, and I know that the Cardinals have faced a lot of lefties, including today, Clayton Kershaw. They had 2 lefties in the doubleheader against Kansas City. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of playing time we've seen from Nolan Gorman so far. I hope with the stretch of right-handers coming up that we'll be able to see more of him, because I thought he actually took some really good at-bats and some really good swings. So we'll see. Something I really liked about Nolan Gorman, and you can see these in the swings, even if they don't really amount to contact at the moment, is watch his front stride. It's way less in front. His hip is flying less out. It's more in control. He told me he's been working on this since the series in Kansas City, where he's trying to limit that front stride and limit the amount of motion in the front and stay more level. And he feels like it's really helping. He had a textbook swing in the 9th inning to lead off for that ground rule double that ultimately won the game. And I think that's the swing he's trying to replicate. So while we don't like this for Jordan Walker, hopefully this does lead for more playing time for Nolan Gorman this week. I don't really know what we need to see out of Ryan Vilade. He's done a nice job. I thought he'd be a 26th man, not a starter. So hopefully we'll see some playing time more in Nolan Gorman's favor. But yeah, thanks to Arena Club, we can talk about it. And if you go sign up to Arena Club, we'll go up and rip open one of their slap packs right now. Don't know what card we're going to get. We'll see.
Ooh.
Suspense is building. Oh, Shohei Ohtani. Great. Saw him.
Okay.
You know what? I'm actually disappointed. I wanted to see an Ohtani homer so bad. Is that too much to ask? Was that too much to ask for this weekend? For the optics alone, I know it's not what we should be rooting for, but I wanted to see an Ohtani homer. That thing is magical. Gives people what they want.
It is. Hey, by the way, Ohtani and Freeman in this series against Cardinals, 5 for 24. How about that?
Yeah, that is really impressive. That is some good stuff.
May I chime in on behalf of Arena Club with something that's totally relevant to what you were talking about? May I add?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Because I'm a huge fan of Arena Club. I think it's great. All right, listen. Jordan Walker was starting to hit. He was starting to become an increasingly important member of that lineup. Now, and this ties into who was the outfielder you mentioned, Vlade? Yeah, I say his name wrong, so that's why I was being insecure about that. All right, here's why this is all intertwined. You know, not enough at bats for Gorman, Walker being injured, having to rely on kind of a AAA, quadruple A player to start games in right field. I think other teams realize the Cardinals are really heavy with left-handed hitters, right? So the Cardinals have had, going into today, they've had, and today won't change it because Kershaw was great. The Cardinals have had the third most plate appearances against left-handed pitching this year, and they are 26th in the number of plate appearances against right-handed pitching. And the Cardinals as a team, because of all the lefty bats, are, frankly, are below, the numbers say they are below average against left-handed pitching, and they are very healthily above average against right-handed pitching. So it isn't a matter of like, oh, I hope Walker can do, but they need Walker because he can make a difference. Because I was surprised to see, maybe I shouldn't be surprised that they were so mediocre against left-handed pitching this year, and they're seeing a lot of it. It all makes sense because they just have that heavy population of left-handed hitters.
They do. And I think you're seeing some of that across the board. Some, Burleson can mash some righties, not too great against lefties. Victor Scott going through some struggles right now, specifically against lefties. So it does make sense. But that was our player to watch, our player of the series, our player to monitor over the next week, Jordan Walker, presented by Arena Club. You can get 20% off your first slap pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
Nicely done.
I would say that's a lot of pressure.
I would say that was a very highly professional presentation. And then I kind of jumped in with, I'm going to use an old school reference here. I'm old. What do you want me to say? And then I kind of jumped in doing the Ed McMahon thing to your Johnny Carson. So I hope I wanted to help our Arena Club segment.
No, they're a great sponsor, and I think it's really cool.
They are.
I might have told the story already. I don't know, but I ripped open a trading card pack for the first time in a very long time. Polo Asensio, Cardinals Spanish radio broadcaster, and I were going to 7-Eleven before a game, and they just had these packs, and I was like, I haven't seen them like just available out to buy. Anyway, I pulled a 2022 Steven Matz and a 2022 Eric Fetty, and they asked me. I told both of them I was very excited about it, and they were like, it's probably worth the combined $2. I said, okay, probably, but no, Arena Club, really cool way, a real modern way to keep up with trading cards. That's a really fun part of the game. So I like them. I think it's fun. Now, something else I thought was really fun was watching Michael McGreevy today. As we know, on Cardinal Territory, this is a pro Michael McGreevy podcast.
Yes.
And I thought his outing today I actually had zero issue with. I know the line isn't like super great. 6 innings, 4 earned runs, 8 hits, no walks, so gotta like that. 5 strikeouts through 101 pitches. But it was the way that the outing came together that I thought was super encouraging. He comes out, first pitch of the game, 106-mile-per-hour laser off the bat of Ohtani, standing on second base. All right, here's your test. Ollie Marmol said before the game that this would be a really good test for Michael McGreevy because of the amount of lefties in the Dodgers lineup. And yeah, when you have lefties like Ohtani and Freddie Freeman, that certainly checks out. So he goes out there, and the first 11 batters he faced, 8 registered exit velos of 95 miles per hour or higher. He was getting rocked. It led to a 3-0 deficit by the second inning. Could have been a lot worse if not for a stellar play by Mason Wynn and a favorable outcome for replay review. I kind of thought Contreras was off the bag, but yeah. Oops. And then here's what I really liked about the outing, Bernie. McGreevy had a mid-game adjustment, came out in the third inning, switched it up, kept the same mindset though, didn't panic, just executed differently, and allowed 1 earned run over his last 4 innings off a 55-mile-per-hour like squibbler off the bat of Tommy Edman. And everything played up. The whiffs played up, the execution played up, the hard contact was down, and he found a way not only to mitigate the damage, but stay in this ballgame for 6 innings to relieve a very taxed bullpen. I thought that was, well, of course, the Cardinals didn't get the win. That's the ultimate goal. That's a huge test for McGreevy and where he's at in his development and where he can adjust at the big league level. Being able to do so and get such good results, that to me is super, super encouraging.
No, you're absolutely right. Listen, and all pitching performances, especially by starters, should be, we should always put it into proper context. I mean, the Dodgers came to town, and even though the Cardinals did an incredible job of limiting them in the first 2 games, the Dodgers came to town, and the reasons for some of their losing ways, 98% of it is pitching, lack of pitching depth. They came to town basically ranked first or second in the majors in everything offensively. I mean, just a scary deep lineup. So you have McGreevy, who is really very much inexperienced at the major league level, and like you said, they were hitting rockets, and it started off pretty rough. But
Very loudly.
For him to not fall apart, not get rattled, and to calmly make adjustments on the fly, and to shut them down for, what did you say, 4 more innings after that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a victory within a loss, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Because it was a victory because he saved the bullpen with Toronto coming in, but it was a victory also because he earned credibility, even though he's the losing pitcher in the game. He earned credibility as a young starter because he was a total pro. It's like, okay, these are the Dodgers. They're getting waxed. I better change some things up and approach this differently. And he did. This is a kid. I mean, this isn't an experienced major league starting pitcher. So I was very impressed by the way he adjusted on the fly.
Same. And this is how we evaluate Andre Palante and Matthew Liberatore, right? If their starts are going wonky to begin the outing, how do they adjust? And, Libby especially has been able to do a really nice job of that. But with McGreevy, this is the first time that we really seen him at the major league level have to do that. And that game could have gotten really out of hand. I mean, it could have been 6-7-0 after 3 innings if he didn't do that. So that to me shows where he is as an early major league caliber starter. Look, I know Michael McGreevy does not have anything left to prove in Memphis. He should be on the major league club. We all know this. The Cardinals know this. He knows this. We know why he's not. And we're not going to rehash the same argument we had all of spring training, because I don't love it, I do understand it. And I do ultimately think it's the right call for the organization. But in terms of what's next for Michael McGreevy, I can see him taking his immediate future at least one more spot start this month. I don't think it's going to be any time in the next week or so, because the Cardinals on June 16th have their 1 off day this month. So there is a way to keep the projected 5 starters on their 6-day schedule using that off day. But after that off day, the next scheduled off day is not until July 3rd. So I believe, this is my speculation, but it makes sense, somewhere between June 16th and July 3rd, we will see Michael McGreevy in the same role again, the same spot start. But to me, it seems like the Cardinals, that's how they're going to use him. That's how they're going to keep him in the majors. That doesn't mean he's going to be on the major league roster all the time. In fact, I would not be surprised if he's optioned on Monday just to bring in a new bullpen arm, because the Cardinals aren't sponsored through 50 pitches, right? They'll be down to 6 bullpen arms. That's not going to fly. So if the Cardinals do option McGreevy tomorrow, I still think we see him at least one more time this month. And then who knows from there. But again, McGreevy doesn't have anything to prove in the minors. He should be at the majors. He's not right now because of the lack of depth issue. But I think the way that they're using him right now, Ollie Marmol and Dusty Blake are finding ways where he can come help them win. It's smart. And hopefully soon, well, not hopefully soon, because that would mean someone is hurt, but hopefully we'll get to see Michael McGreevy in some capacity as a regular starter going forward. Right now, though, using him as a spot start, I think makes sense for all parties, including McGreevy. And I'm excited to see what he does when he does take that next one, whenever that is.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm curious, and I know everyone watching this, listening to us, and thank you very much as always. I know that this is on the minds of the masses. So let me ask you this. How long do they stay with Palante? He's got a 5.80 ERA in his last 9 starts. More problematic than that, I don't have the stats. I ask people to trust me because I'm all over this stuff. He is statistically one of the worst pitchers in the major leagues, starting pitchers in the major leagues, in his performance against right-handed batters. They're just crushing him. He's almost, I'm gonna exaggerate it, but at times he's almost defenseless against them. If that continues, how long can you stick with that? Because you face a lot of right-handed hitters. You can't. There's no way for him to duck right-handed batters, right? The numbers are terrible, and they are what they are. And then there's also Matthew Liberatore, and I'm going to defer to you on this one because you were down there talking to everybody. But I'm glad that what appeared to be a big-time scare, the Cardinals are minimizing and saying everything's fine. Libby said everything's fine. But I think we all want to see evidence of that, not that anybody's lying. I really don't think anyone's fibbing.
I don't think so. I don't think so this time.
But still, his next time out, we're going to be wondering, okay, what's up? Is he going to get in sync this time, or is he going to maintain his velocity? So my point is, there are Palante especially. There's a rotation spot that is very wobbly right now, and Palante starts against the Blue Jays tomorrow night. He's scheduled to. very, very wobbly. So to play the devil's advocate, how could they stay with him if nothing gets better when they have a guy like McGreevy, who's earned a lot of respect up here already, but keeping him down in AAA? Like, at what point do they reconsider that, do you think?
It's a great question because this brings our theme of the year, runway versus results, back into play. If you're playing for results right now on June 8th, which there's honestly not really that much of a reason to, I think maybe you're having a different discussion. But this season, for as successful as the Cardinals have been in the win-loss column, remains focused on runway. So they're going to give Andre Pallante an extended look. They're same with Matthew Liberatore. We know this. And that meant, good or bad, he's staying in the rotation because we need to figure out what he has. So yes, the last month for Pallante has not been great. It's been frustrating. He's frustrated about it. We saw the results in it was Texas, right? All the games went together. Okay, we saw the results in Texas, and he's not happy with that. But for the Cardinals, is it really fair for Pallante's long-term career and what they need from him long-term to yank him after a month? Probably not. It's complicated because as a starting pitcher, you get one start every 5-6 days, and very much the team result hinges on how the starting pitcher does. So I understand that. But in a season that was designated about runway and opportunity, they're going to continue giving Pallante some until they have to make a choice between runway and results. Right now, they still don't have to.
The one thing I would say is that, earlier in his career, when he came up to the Cardinals, one of the reasons why they liked him in the bullpen at first, because he was very good against left-handed batters. But they also realized that he was, ironically, because he's a righty pitcher, he was vulnerable to right-handed batters. Mm-hmm. And for a time, they kind of fixed that. In fact, when he took over, when he got a rotation spot from May 29th to the end of the season last year, he did a nice job of neutralizing right-handed batters. They did some damage, but it wasn't like it was a rout. It wasn't like they were beating him up. So I'm not sure what's happened here. They're killing his four-seam fastball. I did a lot of numbers on that. Just trust me, they're killing his four-seam fastball. But this year, because I looked it up, I can multitask. Even doing
I believe in you.
Even doing a live recording. Right-handed batters this year hitting 300 with a 364 on-base percentage and a 496 slug, 860 OPS, 6 home runs, 5 doubles, and a triple. And he also walks. He doesn't get much swing, miss, and strikeout against him because they're just crushing his four-seam fastball. So my only thing is that he sort of went through this earlier, and I definitely get your point about the runway. And he had to show this year that he could do what he did last year because he was a very pleasant surprise last year. So I'm just wondering, it's like, this is a question for Dusty Blake, but I'll ask Ollie about it Tuesday when he's on KMOX with us at noon on Tuesday. I'll ask him, what is it about Pallante where he's sort of back to where he began in a way, where he's so vulnerable against right-handed batters? Because that's a big problem.
I think it's a fair question, and we'll see that. We'll see that with Pallante as early as tomorrow against the Blue Jays. Again, they've been on a heater lately, so it should be a good test for Pallante. We'll see where he's going. I get why this is a question, and I don't disagree with the sentiments behind it, but also just knowing how the organization is thinking and knowing the overall point of this season was to figure out what you have long-term. If Libby was struggling like this after a month, would we be having the same conversation? Probably not. And I think while Pallante's had an extended role as a starter much longer than Libby, it's still the same sentiment. It's still, we need to see what he is. We need to give him the opportunity to bounce back and figure things out at the major league level. Because I too, similar with McGreevy, don't think Pallante has anything left to prove in AAA. I don't think, we know who he is as a AAA pitcher. We need to know who he is as a major league pitcher. And part of that is figuring out how to make those adjustments when things aren't going well. Very similar to offensive players. So that's where I think there are. Bernie and I, we're going to come back at you with one more segment.
Good discussion. Good discussion.
Yeah, I like that one because I can see both sides of it.
Yep.
But we'll do one more. We'll get you ready for the Blue Jays series after a quick message from Arena Club.
I just want to say, before Arena Club, if you were trying to very actively buy, sell, trade, it was very complicated and used a lot of mail that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to do it, but I'm glad we have Arena Club now because it's a one-stop shop for everything card related.
It is, and right now you can get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL. If you're a collector, you've got to check out Arena Club. go get after it.
You heard him. Go get after it. All right, Bernie, as we're heading to another week, we'll have 3 against the Blue Jays and then 4 in Milwaukee, my favorite road city. Can't wait for that. What are you looking at? Who's a player that you're monitoring?
Nolan Gorman. And again, I say that without looking ahead to seeing who the Blue Jays are scheduled to start in the series. But Nolan Gorman has been doing really, really, really well. I mean, whether you want to talk about his last 10 or 11 games, but his numbers are very good, and he's had some big hits. How many times you and I have talked about this here on Cardinal Territory? He has made major, major improvement in his plate discipline. Strikeout total down, chase rate way down, swing and miss rate way down. And he had to slow up his bat a little bit, not to be so jumpy and ferocious. He had to just stay within himself to make that plate discipline work. So he wasn't really doing a lot of damage, but now he's starting to take what he learned with Brent Brown about plate discipline and the way he's got to approach his at bats. But now the bang is starting to come. Now the hits are starting to come. And I think, especially with this offense, at times sagging a little bit, they need an infusion or a transfusion, whatever the proper word is there. They need another guy. They just need another guy to start cranking some big hits and hitting for power. And Jordan Walker, he had found a lot, and he was still striking out too much, but boy, was he just blasting baseballs. So Gorman is starting to do that now, and that's a pretty scary thought for opponents if these two guys get going at the same time. So Gorman's first up while we wait for Walker to get back. And this is a big week for the Cardinals. They all are, because Toronto's a good club. Milwaukee has been on a roll, and they're getting pitching back. So these and it's a 4-game series, which are always tough. So I'm really curious to see how this will play out this week, because it's going to be an interesting week. If the Cardinals go 3-4, no, I'm not going to be. I won't be sitting here next week and saying, "Oh well, see, they can't sustain their success." No, I'm not going to overreact to that. Well, maybe if they go 1-6, but no.
1-6, we can overreact.
Yeah,
deal.
But it's like the Cardinals have so many checkpoints, and this is another one. And it's not that I doubt that they're a good team, because we talked about that. They are a good team, and their record against other good teams shows that. But the Cardinals all season long, locally and nationally, people are going to be keeping an eye on them, still wondering if it's for real.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, and that's fair, because of the hole that they put themselves in 2 seasons ago, because of their weird ass offseason, because of their transition plan. I'm not saying I get it. Again, I get it. I would probably feel a little bit of the same way if I was a fan. But seeing this team every day, seeing the buy-in, which I know is like kind of a tired cliche phrase, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't see it. Seeing the work that Ollie Marmol has done, seeing the clubhouse get behind him, and seeing, most importantly, these young players start to believe in themselves. Yep. I mean, it gives me optimism that this summer might be a lot more fun than we envisioned. Also, is that a Youngry hat?
It is, yeah.
No, you should have told me. I would have worn my Youngry shirt. We could have matched.
Because I know some people say, what is a senior citizen man wearing a Youngry hat for? Well, first of all, I'm not young, but I am hungry, because all I do is work.
Same. I'm so hungry.
And I'm literally, physically hungry too. Spaghetti's waiting downstairs. Oh but also I got this like timing, like, because Victor Scott's really struggling right now. I'm not turning on him. See, I still believe. So
that's my pick. That's actually who I'm picking to watch this next week, because the ups and downs are going to come offensively, especially with Victor, who, never really profiled as an offense first center fielder. His glove is going to earn him playing time every single day. There is going to be no optioning Victor Scott to Memphis, as many of you have decided to DM me on Twitter. If you plan on DMing me that, do yourself a favor. Don't. There was not going to be diminished playing time for Victor Scott as he struggles through this. This is part of the plan. This is part of the transition season, part of your favorite buzzwords of the year. He is supposed to struggle and figure it out. Same thing with Walker. It was a brutal 3 weeks, and then he started figuring things out. You're starting to see the light, hopefully, with Nolan Gorman. So same things apply with Victor Scott II. How is he going to adjust to players making adjustments to him, and so on and so forth? That's baseball, you guys. And we're just going to see it. We're seeing it a lot because there's so many young players on this roster, but that's the whole point.
The other thing is, like, again, I agree. Listen, it's a weird season because, they're gonna keep the runway in place, and they should. That was the whole main objective of the season. So when the Cardinals better than a lot of people thought. So now we all have to fight these impulses to like, oh, you got to send this guy down, or you got to bench this guy if he's off to he has a bad couple weeks. It's just not going to happen. And some people say, well, they benched Gorman. They didn't bench Gorman is more along the lines of Burleson deserved more playing time than he did. Mm-hmm. And also just, again, they see so much left-handed pitching that works against Gorman's bid for playing time. But now some people would argue, and I think I would be one of them, but if you ever want him, if this Major League Baseball knows you're top-heavy with left-handed hitters, you can't hide a guy that can be an impact hitter. Gorman, how is he ever going to get better against lefty pitchers unless he faces them?
That's a great point.
Right. So the runway is going to be in place. And I would also say this, and I know that we have all, not me, because I'm being sarcastic now, we've all turned Thomas Saggese into Rogers Hornsby. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised they don't have the Hall of Fame, like the bronze bust outside the stadium yet. Just settle down on that. That's my thing, because his time's coming. His time is coming. But it's really hard to sort of have it all. Like, you can't. Wynn's going to be the shortstop every day. Gorman will play third when Arenado can't. Donovan is really good at second base.
Playing a great second base this year.
So if Saggese was a corner outfielder, or he could play center field, I would say, yeah, get him up here, but he's not.
Right.
So, the Cardinals are still the island of misfit toys when it comes to the roster. There's no question about it. That's still there. And there's even going to be more of that coming when you look at all the left-handed hitters they have in the system making their way up here. Come on, Joshua Baez.
Oh, he's been tearing it up.
And he's a right-handed power bat. And he is all of a sudden taken off, right? And I looked because I want to say, oh, but don't tell me he's another left-handed hitting outfielder, because I couldn't remember. This is like 2 a.m. This is my life. So I'm looking at him up last night at 2 a.m. laying in bed. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he another left-handed hitting outfielder? Not that he's going to be up here like in an imminent basis, but he's he now has put himself on a much faster track. And then you got J.J. Weatherholt coming up, Chase Davis in the mix somewhere. It's all lefty, 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 lefty. So the argument for Saggese is, you need a better right-handed bat than Barrero coming off the bench. But I just don't see where Saggese would get that much playing time. I just don't. So what's the point?
That's why he's not here.
Yeah. So what's the point? What's the point of keeping him in there, keeping him up here to sit on the bench? And so I'm just sort of doing a little preemptive strike on the Rogers Hornsby talk. You got to get the next Rogers Hornsby up here. Actually, you don't. Because
there'll be time. There will be time for Saggese.
It's okay.
Right now, it should be time for Gorman, and I hope we see that.
I mean, do people really want to pull the plug on Victor Scott? Do they really want to pull the plug? How many people pull the plug on Walker and Gorman? Everybody talked about this like for months in the offseason, what this was going to be all about. And just because they're better than expected, it doesn't mean you just bury these guys now.
That would be the worst thing. That'd be the worst thing they could do.
And it's not like they have great options in the minor leagues either. They're not like look at who they brought up, right? No disrespect to him. I mean, I know he's trying, Vlade, but they're starting him every day. Like me and Kevin Wheeler of the KMOX, we were texting each other like, my gosh, he started how many games in a row now? And Gorman's on the bench, So
that's what I have a little bit of an issue with. I would like to see more Gorman, and nothing against Brian, who's I just thought he'd be up here as a 26th man.
Right.
I think he had a really good at bat today. And
he did. It was wonderful.
And that was a very good at bat. So maybe that'll turn things around. But I would like to see more of Nolan Gorman this week. So Ollie Marmol, if you're watching, you're not. Yes. Just know that's what I'm going to ask you about tomorrow for pregame. Speaking of the future, we have a lot of fun things coming up on Cardinal Territory. Both Andre Palante and Matthew Liberatore are going to join the show early next week, and Dusty Blake will be our second guest. That's right, 2 guest episode week. Yes, and then Bernie and I will be back with you hopefully after the Brewers series. So lots to look forward to here on the show. Lots to look forward to in Cardinal land as well. I know Bernie and I certainly appreciate your support. Bernie, you got any fun projects up on STL Sports
Central. It's
Central.
called, yeah. Long story,
Rebrand.
long story short, sportshubstl.com still exists. It's under a different name. There's some station and radio station in Boston, because we were using the term, Sports Hub STL. They called themselves the Hub, and so I didn't realize that gave you international rights to use the term.
I don't know,
Hub.
Bernie. I think I know of a certain other hub that's much more popular.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? So, so rather than give money to lawyers, Dave Green, who runs it, just said we're going to change the name, and they are actually there used to be a STL Sports Central, and people at our place actually own the name, so they just flipped it to that. So, five videos a week, 5 columns a week from me, plus I jump in on Randy Carricker's show, and they have shorts from my videos. I'm all over the place. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for letting me plug that and let people know where they should go. Don't be confused by the name change.
Same site, different name. But here at Cardinal Territory, we're going to stick with you. And you can read all about Michael McGreevy, what's next for him on The Athletic. That will be out tomorrow morning, Monday morning. And hopefully lots of fun stuff ahead for the Cardinals. So, Bernie, thanks as always for doing this. I'm going to get out of Busch Stadium. I've been here for entirely way too long this week. And I'm going to go enjoy. I don't know. I don't even know what's on my agenda. I'm just so excited to go home.
Somebody they turned the light out on you.
I know. I'm actually, I don't even think I'm supposed to be here. Cardinal PR, if you're watching this, sorry. I don't know. I don't know the rules. I just need a quiet place. Yeah, Bernie, thanks as always.
All right.
Cardinal Territory subscribers, thank you. We'll be back with you Tuesday. Andre Palante, Matthew Liberatore, 2 guest special. Should be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.